Chapter 9. Valdes was smoking a cigarette between a panel van and the building. It was an area that must have served as the loading dock for the morgue. She was stomping her feet to warm up as she paced the length of the van. When she noticed me standing in the gap, she sighed in relief. "Oh, thank fucking Christ," she said. "We gotta bounce. Jacoby thinks a city councilman might be connected to this whole mess, and there's a closed-door meeting in about an hour." "Hold on a sec," I said, cutting her off. "You shouldn't have come out here by yourself." Valdes jabbed me in the chest. Her fist was small and stung about as bad as a mosquito bite. "If you would have just answered your fucking phone, jackass, it's not like the job doesn't pay." "I was a little preoccupied," I growled. "Look, whatever." She tried to walk around me, but I grabbed her arm. "Valdes!" "Pretty sure we can talk in the car, Abraham." I sighed, frustrated. Plato brains and Valdes is a fast way to go crazy. "Listen, this whole Nazi thing is more complicated than it looks." "You're telling me they're having a rally tonight, and if Jacoby's suspicions about the councilman are right, the police might be too fucking busy scarfing donuts if any violence breaks out?" "You're not hearing me," I said. "I'm doing a job at this rally." Valdez's face twisted in simultaneous confusion, disdain, and disappointment. "What? What the fuck are you doing working at a goddamn white supremacist rally?" I shook my head. "It's not anything like that. This kid hired me to help him talk to his girlfriend." "Wait, what, you're adding relationship counselor to your fucking resume now, Abe?" Valdes rolled her eyes, and before I could clarify, she grabbed my arm and pulled. "Can we please just get going? We need to get to the city council office, and I'm fucking starving as fuck." "All right, priorities. Plus, a big greasy lunch would help me get back on track with the day's plan." I conceded and turned to the gap. A police siren let out a whoop whoop, and a cruiser pulled up, blocking our path to the parking lot. Through the passenger window, we could see an officer wearing a black uniform. He was talking to dispatch over the radio. A moment later, he climbed out of the cruiser and looked across the roof at us. Fuck. This wasn't good. It took me longer than I care to admit to recognize the cop, and thanks to the Plato brains, it took another second to register the black latex gloves that cops wore when they knew they were about to deal with something dirty. And speaking of dirty, the cop's face finally clicked. Officer Stu fucking Sampson. If I'm being honest, I have a face cops like to hit. It's broad with a nose that's been broken a few too many times. Officer Sampson just so happened to be responsible for a good chunk of that violence. This cop was as dirty as they came. He was the proverbial bad apple that spoiled the barrel. "Abraham fucking Owens," Sampson said, a smug grin twisting his face. This guy was so dirty slime practically oozed from his pores. "Just the low-life fucktard I was looking for." "Oh, this is definitely not good," Valdes muttered from behind me. What in the holy name of fuck was Officer Stu Sampson doing at the hospital? Sampson walked around his police cruiser while Valdes and I collectively stepped backward into the impromptu alley between the panel van and the hospital campus wall. My Plato brains weren't functioning at any level remotely appropriate for this situation, but as long as I stayed between Sampson and Valdes, I figured she'd be able to duck out behind the van if shit went sideways. "Officer Sampson," I said, lifting my hands up and displaying open palms. "I knew you liked to send people to the hospital, but I guess I didn't realize you liked to visit them after." "Keep your hands where I can see them, Owens," Sampson growled, resting that black surgical-gloved hand on his holstered gun. I glanced at my hands, already on deliberate display. Fucking asshole. He nodded to the stuccoed surface of the hospital wall. "Put your hands on the wall and spread your legs." Valdes snapped. "The fuck, man? You can't just roll up." I took another step back, prompting Valdes to move closer to the rear of the van. To Sampson, I said in a steady voice, "It'd be real nice to know what this is about. Pretty sure I haven't done anything." Sampson stepped into the narrow space. "At least," I mused, "I haven't done anything yet." "Plenty of light left in the day," Sampson sneered. "Plus, I've got a pair of witnesses that placed you in an attempted robbery this morning." I felt Valdez's eyes on me. We really needed to compare notes. I racked my brains and cursed the whiskey. With the Beckett Miller gig happening in a few hours, I didn't have the luxury of playing victim to a dirty cop's perverted fantasies of law and order. And with Valdes riding shotgun, it didn't seem wise to resort to violence. A goddamned rock in a hard place, and me with whiskey-drowned Play-Doh brains. I said, hands on the wall, Owens, Samson ordered. I took another step back and nodded at Samson's shoulder. A small plastic box with a round, protruding lens was clipped to his uniform. That thing on? Officer Samson gave me a toothy smile that dripped with sleaze. Nah, man. See, it's all about timing. Start rolling too soon, people might get the wrong idea. Start rolling too late, you run the risk of raising the kind of questions no one likes to answer and having evidence dismissed. The trick is to set everything up just right. And hope to God someone else isn't filming you, right, motherfucker? Valdes pushed in next to me, her phone in the air, recording the interaction. Samson frowned. His hand was still resting on the holstered gun. He thumbed the holster lock, and I could see he was trying to calculate how long Valdes had been recording. His eyes went dark, and then he smirked. It was the look of a man committed to doing whatever it took. I've dealt with bigger shits after my morning coffee, little girl. Like I said, dirtier than a gravedigger's shovel. Yeah, what are you gonna do, you fucking pig? Bust us for what? Fucking breathing? I fucking dare you, you cocksucking son of a... For once, I deeply regretted the booze. I needed to come up with an exit strategy that wouldn't completely fuck us over, but between the whiskey and the lack of any helpful pull, I was at a distinct disadvantage. And Valdes, well, she was just getting warmed up. I needed to sober up, fast. Hands still in the air, I committed to my own whatever-it-takes course of action, and took an otherwise ill-advised step toward Samson. Easy, Owens, the officer ordered. My eyes darted deliberately down to his holstered gun. Don't tell me you went out of your way to back me into a corner just to shoot me. Samson's jaw clenched, and his fingers tightened on the gun. I was getting closer to him, but the pull was muddy and distant. All right, fuck it. Desperate times and that whole bucket of jizz. Abe! Valdes tried to reach for me as I took another step forward. Samson's eyes went wide. I said, hands on the wall, Owens! I took another step toward the dirty cop, knowing that Valdes had her phone trained on us. What's the matter, officer? I asked, letting the question trail off. Another step, and I was right in his face. He looked like a man who was suddenly questioning his life choices. Performance anxiety. The command came down through gritted teeth. Back down, Owens. Ah! I bellowed, letting my eyes go wide as I grinned in Samson's face. Literally the exact opposite of what your mother said. Abe! Samson's fist exploded like a ramrod, slamming into my nose. I stumbled backward, electric pain pulsing through my head, starting at my nose, curling around my eyeballs, and then stabbing through the gray matter before knocking on the back of my skull. Blood spilled from my nose, and that whiskey-drowned Play-Doh fog lifted. A piano wire twanged in my chest. Bingo, motherfucker.